The 3.5-liter EcoBoost engine has been a hit for Ford in the F-150. Now for 2017, the automaker has updated this engine to provide more horsepower, more torque, and now it has more gears. So for 2017, Ford focused on this 3.5-liter EcoBoost model. Now the other engines in this truck are still available, those being the 2.7 EcoBoost, the 5-liter naturally aspirated V8, and the smaller 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6, but those engines all stay the exact same and they're all still hooked up to a 6-speed automatic transmission. It's just this 3.5-liter EcoBoost that gets the 10-speed and the power bump. This engine now makes 10 extra horsepower and 50 more pound-feet of torque, bringing that total up to 470 pound-feet, making this the torquiest truck you can buy right now in the half-ton segment. And that's not just the result of some little tweaks. This engine has been overhauled. The block is new, the turbos are new, the cooling system is new, even the fuel delivery system is new, and all of those things come together to offer more power and more torque. And as if offering all that new power wasn't enough, Ford also went ahead and coupled this engine with that new 10-speed automatic transmission. Now we have had a chance to sample this combination in the new F-150 Raptor, which you may have seen was our AutoGuide.com truck of the year, and in that truck it performs seamlessly. But I was really curious to see what it's like here in the more pedestrian F-150, where people are really going to be working it hard, rather than just running off-road looking for thrills. And I'm happy to report that here in this 10-speed Lariat model, the transmission is working seamlessly. This 10-speed has actually been pretty interesting to watch. Now down here in my info cluster, Ford gives you a readout which tells you which gear you're in. And when you watch it as you're driving, the transmission is jumping around all over the place, expectedly because there are so many gear ratios. However, the key is you don't feel the shifts. Everything is nice and smooth and there's never any hesitation. The transmission seems to always know exactly where it wants to be. Now I can tell you that this transmission loves to upshift, and that's because it's trying to save you fuel. I've had a few times today where I'm only doing 30-35 miles an hour and it's already up in 7th or 8th gear. So it loves to upshift, but what about when you want the power down low? Well, the real key to this transmission is a new unique one-way high-speed clutch that Ford designed that allows it to shift non-sequentially. That means that it doesn't have to bump down gears to get you where you need to be. Now out there cruising on the highway, this truck will actually sit in 10th, but when you mash the accelerator, boom, it pops down directly into 5th, sometimes even 4th, and it gives you that torque right when you need it. Now if I haven't gotten this across already, let me just drive this point home. This truck is seriously fast, and with the 10-speed, it actually feels like it has less turbo lag than before, and that's just thanks to having a lower gear ratio to start off in. Seriously, when you mash the throttle in this truck, it absolutely takes off, and I can only imagine that having all of that torque available from such a low RPM is going to make sure that moving trailers is not an issue. The new 10-speed automatic also brings along improved fuel economy, although it's probably not quite as good as what you might expect. Now this truck has 4 extra forward gears compared to the 2016 model, but it only gained 1 mile per gallon combined with the 2-wheel drive model and 2 miles per gallon combined with the 4-wheel drive model. So yes, Ford did manage to give you more power and better fuel economy, and you can't knock them for that. But there is one problem with this engine, and it's the exact same problem that Ford has had with almost all of its EcoBoost engines. These are all Eco or Boost, not both. Now, what I mean by that is that in our experience at AutoGuide, when you're pushing these engines hard, and not even hard, but just keeping them in the boost, they're not gonna give you the fuel economy that Ford says they will, and we've managed to prove that today. Over a total of 108 miles, we are sitting at 15.5 mile per gallon average, which is lower than the city rating for this truck. Now, I would say about 3/4 of that 100 miles was spent on the highway, cruising at about 50 or 60 miles per hour, where this truck should be its most efficient. Although I will tell you that the other part of it was a lot of stopping and starting for filming, so pretty much the worst conditions for fuel economy. However, after doing all of that today and knowing what the EPA numbers are, I still would have expected better fuel numbers out of this Ford. The steering in this truck is kind of mid-weight, and while it does feel a little bit fake and lifeless, there is a pretty good amount of back pressure on your hands, just enough to make you feel confident driving. Now, of all the half tons, I feel like the F-150 drives the lightest, and that's not a bad thing. It actually kind of tucks into corners and feels pretty nimble as pickup trucks go. After spending a rainy day with this truck, there really is little to find fault with. Ford took what was already a capable, smart pickup truck and added more power, a transmission that uses the power better, and even a small boost in fuel economy. Now that trifecta makes this 2017 F-150 better than ever.